knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees!
I wonder how prohibitionists would feel if they saw medical marijuana vastly improve the life of someone dear to them.
If I don't have the right to kick in your door and kidnap you or take your property because you're smoking pot, then how is it that I can logically give that power, give that right to my representative?
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
Warning. This film contains cussing, but angry times call for angry words.
This movie also contains very brief and infrequent scenes of violence encouraged by the actions of various tyrannical organizations.
The 4 basic rules of gun safety. Number 1, always assume every gun is loaded. Number 2, never point the gun at anything you're not willing to destroy. For example, I'm not going to point this at you. Number 3, keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. Number 4, be sure of your target, what's behind it, and what's beyond it.
The makers of this film are not attorneys. Nothing said, done, or shown in this film is legal advice. We do not recommend that you ever do anything that is shown, discussed, implied, sung, or rapped about in this film. Except, if you do decide to shoot guns, be sure to receive proper training from a qualified instructor before you shoot, and always observe the rules of gun safety. If you are offended by informative educational media about guns and weed, or if consuming informative educational media about guns and weed is not legal for you in your community, do not watch this film. And you should also immediately move to a hipper community.
And don't ever shoot a gun while intoxicated on anything.
Michael Dean, we ain't got no gang, we ain't got no crew, we ain't got no posse, we got a militia. Right on the Wyoming, we ain't in the house, we in the bunker. We will not disarm, we will not conform, we will not lie down, we'll ride out the storm, we'll steal it. But y'all call it taxes, cheating, some major infractions, playing fast and loose, like the Voluntary Virtues Network, lying, but y'all call it public school, dying, we'll fight for your lunchables, walking with the truth. And you know we got the proof. To disarm us is immoral. My quarrel is with force, not a squirrel. I'm a man, I'ma make my own course. Government's involuntary, they carry but say we can't. Try to keep us wary, acting like they're the queen. And fuck that, this ain't no hive mind. Boy, it's high time that being a politician was seen as a high crime. And selling whatever you wanna sell should be just fine. Trading, making both folks happy. I'm rapping so I can sell the truth. Nobody's bulletproof, so you better keep your get intact. Owning that gun's not at all violent. In fact, more violence comes from the so-called social contract. That shit's so whack, like letting a man steal half your stack. You're getting jacked. If I want a bowl pack, gotta smoke a whole pack. Only I control that, so tell the state to hold back. Governments bring only danger. They got drones using Ranger, but I'm so hard, bitch, I carry 2 in the chamber. We will not disarm, we will not conform, we will not lie down, we'll ride out the storm, we'll steal it, but y'all call it taxes, cheating, some major infractions, playing fast and loose, like the Voluntary Virtues Network, lying, but y'all call it public school, dying, we'll fight for your lunchables, walking with the truth, and you know we got the proof. Yeah. Freedom's one piece. It's both guns, weed, and anything you feel you need. Just as long as you don't take it, steal it, or fake it. You know I'm Persian, but no frontin'. If this was the 300, I'd be starting for the Spartans, and I'd fight till I'm departed. If you wanna steal my stuff, go ahead and do your fucking worst. I no longer need my bullets, so I'll give them to you first.
Hi, I'm Susan. I'm a 64-year-old grandmother and a retired RN and many, many, many other things. I have never used marijuana, but as a nurse, I am intrigued by the documented and clinical medical uses of it, and don't feel that there's any legitimate reason to prohibit that or any other medication.
They have to blur me on this because I'm a VA patient, and because it's still federally illegal, marijuana is, I have to protect my identity. Otherwise, if I'm positively identified, I lose all my federal benefits. I was injured while serving in the Marine Corps in an incident with a helicopter and have had to use medical marijuana as a means of pain medication and to be able to sleep and function, period, because I've been left with no alternative.
This is my girlfriend right here. We've been together for 3 years now, and we were both diagnosed at the same time.
I've had 6 surgeries so far, and supposedly got about 4 or 5 more to go. I did go through a neglected surgery where they basically butchered me, not once but twice, and medically screwed me for the rest of my life.
For me, for having MS, it's just severe body pain, aches, Oxycontin, all that stuff doesn't even give me bad side effects. It just doesn't even work. There's nothing I have ever found until I started using medical marijuana where it's just like relief.
The war on drugs is a war on people. It's a war on your daughters, your sons, your neighbors, your friends. It's a war on freedom and a war on those who would defend your freedom.
The medical marijuana, though, I've used that mostly because I've got issues with my back, a bunch of ruptured discs in my back. My left leg's partially paralyzed. I've got issues with my right arm and shoulder and paralysis. Parts were reattached. Make the airport fun now.
Medical marijuana for me has been like dang near a lifesaver, because I have Crohn's disease and I have to deal with worrying about every piece of food I put in my body. And when I put a piece of food in my body that my Crohn's does not agree with, I get horrible, horrible stomach cramps. There's nothing else besides medical marijuana that takes these stomach cramps away.
The war on drugs is a war against everybody, because they use that as a foothold to gain access to your car, to your home, to your business, to everything you do, all under the pretense of protecting society or yourself from illicit drug use. How many times do you even have a standard speeding ticket? The first thing out of an officer's mouth is, "You don't mind if we search your car, do you?" Or, "Where did that $10,000 come from that you've got? Unless you can prove to us where it came from, we're taking it." That might be drug money.
I don't believe the world would fall apart if drugs were legalized.
I don't think our society would collapse if marijuana was legal. I've been to Amsterdam 3 times, loved it, obviously. Amsterdam is a clean, well-run, beautiful city. Everyone's professional, they're put together, they're organized.
The war on drugs leads directly to other mandates being crammed down our collective gullets.
In the case of England's disarmament, the general populace was convinced that if they just gave up these few rights, which they were led to believe were simply relics of a bygone age, that they would be safer and free from intrusion. In consequence, violent crime levels have skyrocketed in the United Kingdom. The police are now demanding closed-circuit television cameras in all public areas and some private areas. And now England is getting to the point where they have laws regulating the hot water temperature in your home.
Governments, state, local, and federal, are going broke in this country. A big reason is that we spend so much money incarcerating people. The vast majority of people behind bars in the United States are behind bars for nonviolent drug offenses, and by far the largest number of those are for marijuana-related offenses. Taking people who have not aggressed against anyone's natural rights, who have not harmed anyone, who have not stolen anything, we're throwing them behind bars, and then we're asking society to foot the bill.
Oh yeah, prisons would probably empty out. It would be a it would be a ghost town in those prisons if marijuana was ever it's legalized across the board.
It's really no different than the argument that a lot of conservatives like to make against welfare. You know, why should we have to pay for some deadbeat to pay his bills or to put food on the table or what have you? But they never stop to make the same argument for why should we have to pay to take care of some guy or some girl who committed no real crime to begin with and is now behind bars in a government cage, that we're now paying for his livelihood outright, 100%, rather than just some food stamps.
My name is Austin. I am one of the owners here at Pharmaceuticals. We are a local dispensary in Denver. We try to offer the highest quality, lowest price meds for our patients.
You were born with a right to use it because it grows just like a banana on a tree.
Another basic right we have is to put whatever we would like into our bodies as long as it's not hurting another person.
Mm-hmm. Freedom of ingestion is a basic human right.
Hello, Freedom Feens. It's your boy Dean from the U.S. Get the U.S. out my bloodstream. I own me and that include endorphins. No one won't ask permission and I won't say please. Freedom fans, one fact that I gotta make clear is it ain't about your heater, then you're nothing but a theorist. You can read and type, but when the jack is coming, I know you lose the fight. On your ass with your thumbing.
Good morning, Senator. Here's your coffee.
Thanks, I'll need it. I have so many laws to write before November.
I'm so excited.
You should be. Slim majority lets me tell everyone what to do.
Freedom of ingestion, it's more than a suggestion. And no, it ain't a question, but them hoes just keep oppressing. And so we teaching lessons for those with chief sessions and those with Smith & Wessons. Freedom is possession.
The Lord said that what goes into a man's mouth is not what defiles him, but what comes out of it. For out of his mouth comes lies and hate.
Some of the first weapon restriction laws in the United States were passed in the South in the 1870s as a response to the freeing of recently enslaved African Americans. These laws were specifically designed to prevent freed slaves from possessing weapons while allowing the white landowner to maintain his power.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Governments are like pushy parents. Do you want pushy parents?
I'm not a gun enthusiast. I'm not a hunter. I'm not a member of the NRA. But there's one thing that guns mean to me, and they represent freedom. Slaves and conquered peoples are not allowed to own guns, and I will never be in that group.
There we go. That worked. Go ahead.
The only people who want to disarm you and take away those things which you wish to own are those who want to be your masters. And it doesn't matter whether they're from the government or from the PTA. Teachers' unions have become a bad thing because they support the status quo of the slave camps, of the indoctrination centers.
Germany, the party in power at the time, the National Socialist Party, passed a law requiring all Jews to register their weapons. Shortly thereafter, they passed a law requiring Jews to surrender certain weapons. Law stacked on top of law until all Jews were legally forbidden to own weapons, eventually winding up in the concentration camps.
You get into a very slippery slope where you get into the Führer principle, where people get it into their head that the government has the power to do whatever they want if it's for society's best interest or for someone's best interest or for some well-intended cause.
All right, thanks for coming back for the second part of this class. Again, my name's Timothy, and I'm from the government, and I'm here to help you. We are now going to assume that I am going to be the bad guy charging at you, and I need you to take the defensive role we went over. Are you ready? Yep. Good job.
What do you think about guns and people being able to have guns?
I think that people have the right to protect themselves.
In Cambodia in 1975, Pol Pot restricted private ownership of weapons en route to the Khmer Rouge killing grounds. Joseph Stalin in the Soviet Union tried the same approach, restricted weapons possession for private folk, and shipped millions off to the Gulag.
Anybody in authority wants to disarm honest people because they see themselves as being the person, the power, the person of all-knowing that they want to impose their values on everybody else. They feel it's a threat to their authority if honest people are allowed to carry a weapon for self-defense.
Could never happen in America? What about New Orleans? Hurricane Katrina aftermath, 2005, when the mayor, Ray Nagin, declared, "No one will be allowed to be armed. We are going to take all the guns." Shouldn't the aftermath of a natural disaster be the exact moment at which people need their weapons?
They want to be the ones with the guns. They don't want us to have the guns.
Guns for protection. Novel concept, America. I got news for you. There's only one thing you need to keep yourself safe. It's called a rape whistle. And I got them in my store. Only police can hear them.
I would ask people who say that their right to feel safe trumps my right to bear arms, would you not rather have the freedom to walk in any public place at any time that you desired?
These criminal gangs literally shooting it out in the streets, shooting up civilians, killing everyone, anyone in sight, just to make sure that they maintained a hold on their territorial monopoly.
Sheriff Richard Mack, former sheriff of Graham County, Arizona, retired now. I was an undercover narcotics officer, and I was a drug warrior. And fighting in the drug war actually taught me that the drug war is nothing but a farce.
A monopolist or a cartel, they've got a rather sweet deal, and it's not based on actually providing goods or services. It's based on their monopoly. And anytime someone wants to enter the market and try to break their monopoly, they have an incentive to stop that. And in the black market, the way that manifests is through violence.
Smoking weed is not an immoral act. But since it's illegal to get it, have it, and use it, people end up having to hang out with criminals, and they get treated like criminals. Legalize weed, and the entire criminal aspect goes away.
Welcome to Pharmaceuticals, man. Give you a little verbal tour here. Over in the back corner there, we carry our Dixie elixirs. We have medicated sodas, grape, strawberry, orange. We also carry all, as you can see in front of us, all of our edibles. We have gummies, lollipops, hard candies, chocolates, cookies, crispy treats. And then the big shebang, we got 55 strains of medical marijuana at any one time.
Drug cartels don't run liquor stores. If drugs were legalized tomorrow, drug lords would be out of a job.
The decisive vote of the 36th state against prohibition is happy news for the grain raisers of the United States and for many others throughout the land. With an eye on December 5th, work is being rushed in distilleries and bottling works. Thousands are being called back to work in plants of allied industries. At least 500,000 new jobs are predicted as the result of repeal. From keg and barrel factories, perhaps the most closely allied line, immediate benefits from repeal extend into almost every line of business and commerce. However, everyone's not waiting until December 15th. The lid is off in many places, with the downfall of Prohibition being celebrated in real old-time hilarity. Yes, and by the renewal of old acquaintances. Hotels and nightclubs report a real pre-war spirit among those revelers.
Marijuana was outlawed in the U.S. in the 1930s from a combination of greed, fear, and racism. Alcohol prohibition had been tried and failed, so the nanny state do-gooders needed another crusade. Rumors were spread that blacks and Mexicans were trying to get white children hooked, even though marijuana is not addictive. A newspaper in 1934 reported, "Marijuana influences Negroes to look at white people in the eyes, step on white men's shadows, and look at a white woman twice." Billionaire newspaper owner William Randolph Hearst was heavily invested in paper production from trees and did not want to have hemp paper compete with his empire. Hearst used his newspapers as a bully pulpit, publishing prevarication like, "Marijuana is a shortcut to the insane asylum. Smoke marijuana cigarettes for a month and what once was your brain will be nothing but a storehouse of horrid specters. Hashish makes a murderer who kills for the love of killing out of the mildest mannered man who ever laughed at the idea that any habit could ever get him." A Montana paper reported, "When some beet-field peon takes a few traces of this stuff, he thinks he has just been elected president of Mexico, so he starts out to execute all his political enemies." Harry J. Anslinger, a careerist Fedgoon and buddy of Hearst, basically became America's first drug czar by spinning tales like, "Most marijuana smokers in the U.S. are Negroes, Hispanics, Filipinos, and entertainers. Their satanic music, jazz and swing, result from marijuana use. This marijuana causes white women to seek sexual relations with Negroes, entertainers, and any others." The DuPont Chemical Company considered hemp a threat to their new patent, nylon, and also considered this plant that they could not patent, a plant that people could grow at home for free, a possible competitor to their pharmaceuticals. William Randolph Hearst and the DuPonts goaded their buddies in Congress to effectively outlaw pot with a Marijuana Tax Act in 1937. This was a bill that no one read and was passed in one very long, lie-filled session. The only resistance came from a congressman who wanted more information before voting because he didn't know what marijuana was. Most drug laws in the U.S. and our entire current war on drugs spring from the single day of big business hijacking Congress. Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around. And not many citizens know how marijuana became illegal. They just think, the government knows best. Pot must be bad, or it wouldn't be illegal.
Uh-oh! There'll be no more scenes such as this. Barrel after barrel of prize whiskeys destroyed by government agents. It's going to be a cold winter for the barrel busters.
We're here for our patients. We keep our prices low. $43 an eighth is the maximum for our members, and we have a daily special every day it changes. We have $38 eighths as well.
Documents don't grant rights, they declare rights. The Bill of Rights could be outlawed tomorrow and you'd still have those rights. They're in you. You're born with them. They're innate.
If the Second Amendment were repealed, it wouldn't change our innate right to defend ourselves. Because it's an innate right. Merely stating on paper that something is or isn't so does not change the reality.
Well, natural rights are the rights that you're born with. Like any animal on this planet, you have the right to defend yourself, the right to eat, to drink, to stay alive.
All creatures have innate abilities to defend themselves, be it through teeth, claws, the ability to camouflage themselves.
What's under your shirt?
I have a level 3A bullet-resistant vest on.
When you know, as a potential criminal, that every person around you is possibly armed, probably armed, you're a lot less likely to mug grandma on the street corner than if you know that no one around has a gun and you do. It's already recognized that when you pass laws restricting gun ownership, the law-abiding people who you don't necessarily have to worry about are the only ones that are going to follow that law. The people who are going to be out running around mugging grandmother, robbing stores, doing those sort of things that involve a gun, they're already willing to break the law, so what's breaking one more law to them?
As far as I'm concerned, nobody gives you those rights. You're born with those rights as being part of nature.
I don't have to be worried about cops pulling up and arresting me or scaring me or, having something on my record, letting my grandma down. I don't get in trouble, and I never have. I am a good girl.
If 99% of the country voted to make eating ice cream illegal, it wouldn't make eating ice cream wrong.
Machine. Gertie, it's Hetty. Hi, hun. I was wondering, is your son home from college yet? This chemo, it's just making me sick, and that stuff he got me last time really helped, and, I could sleep, I could eat. I need some help here, and I'm really hoping that you're there soon, and he's there, and Would you call me, please, hun? I'm just beside myself.
Gleeful salutations and a happy evening, madame. Your unauthorized request has been rerouted. Smoking ganja is very, very bad. Authorities are en route to protect yourself from yourself. Please remain docile while they arrive. Goodbye.
If my mom's friend is ailing from something and she calls me up 2,000 miles away and says, do you know of anything that can help? And the answer I have right now is write your congressman.
A crime proper has been often defined as a debt in which one party had no say over the terms. If I steal your wallet, that means that technically I owe you the contents of your wallet, but you didn't have any say over us making that agreement. I just took your stuff. If I assault you, then I've caused you harm. I owe you compensation. You didn't have any say over that. If I sit in my living room and smoke a joint, I'm not causing any harm to any other person. I'm not causing any harm to anyone else's property. So then from there, where does the debt come in? Who do I owe in compensation for having smoked that joint? Whereas again, if I steal your stuff, if I assault you, if I violate your privacy, then I've aggressed against someone's natural rights.
We should never consider ourselves doing something good for our community and that we're actually serving people because we warehouse people with drug problems in these prisons. We don't even keep drugs out of them.
They say the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over and expecting different results. This is certainly the case with the United States and its continued war on drugs.
Prohibition hasn't made people quit smoking pot any more than a total gun ban would make a free man hang his head in shame and voluntarily turn all his hardware in to the federal smelter.
Hello, police. Good morning this evening, my friend. This is Johnny Patel. What can I do to you?
I went to the gun show and I bought this old gun and it's got the shoulder thing that goes up. So there's these men here now and they've got guns and they're trying to break in and they shot my dog, they're trying to take my things, and they stomped on my kittens!
They're from the government and they are there to help you, sir. Goodbye.
Nanny laws and taxation are enforced at the point of a gun because that's really the only recourse the government has. Let's say you don't pay your property taxes on your home. The government will send people to your house to try to collect on those taxes. If you tell those people you're not paying your taxes, they send other people that are armed. And you tell those people to go away, they point guns at your head. If you still resist, they have been known to shoot you. Generally, the use of the gun is enough to intimidate someone into putting their hands behind their back, in which they put handcuffs on you and take you to jail and then take your property.
I never understood why some people hate cops and hate guns, but demand the government enforce peaceful, utopian agendas when the government enforces those agendas with cops who have guns. Statists on both sides always think we're about 3 laws from perfection. Nanny staters are nanny staters, whether they've got their left boot or their right boot on your neck.
One of the problems with having Democrats in power is that they're in love with this idea of civil liberties, but they don't understand that you can't have civil liberties without economic liberties. And vice versa, the Republicans are in love with their version of economic liberty, but they don't understand that you cannot have economic liberty without civil liberties, that they're really two halves of the same concept or two sides of the same coin.
The war on drugs fuels the war on guns. Look how the government wanted to disarm honest citizens in the U.S. by trying to reinstate the scary black rifle ban to help the war on drugs in Mexico.
You cannot outlaw drugs and still claim to be pro-free market. Outlawing or prohibition is the most stringent form of regulation that there is. Conversely, you cannot have civil liberties on the Democrat side and be against ownership of guns. How is one to possibly defend their civil liberties if they don't have the weaponry and the means to do so?
And the war on guns fuels the war on drugs. When you outlaw things instead of actions, honest people are treated like criminals.
I have been arrested one time for marijuana. They threw the book at me.
The prosecutors want to increase their win-loss records, and police want to have their conviction rates maintained. And it's all at the expense of the justice system in general. It's at the expense of the people.
Numerous parties that benefit from the war on drugs. There are the distributors of drugs who enjoy artificially large profits that are not based on real market mechanisms. They're based on risk premiums. Also, you have prison workers unions. They have a very large lobbying presence, especially in Washington, D.C. and at various state legislatures. Of course, marijuana possession is the number one reason for packing prisons full of inmates and demanding the building of more prisons. So obviously, if you're in the field of prison work, you want to see more people incarcerated. Prosecutors get to enjoy a tough on crime, tough on drugs, artificial moral high ground when it comes time to campaign.
We now live in a culture where law enforcement believes that their ultimate goal is to rid our community of drugs. Sheriffs run for office on that platform. Oh, I'll get rid of drugs and we're going to be zero tolerance and we're going to get all these people out of here and they're going to leave your kids alone and we're going to clean up the streets.
Politicians, same story. They can enjoy a pseudo tough on crime stance without having to actually go after real criminals.
And now, the Nima News with Nima Vedati.
And now for your daily dose of nanny statism in our daily segment, Tyranny Today.
Tyranny Today.
Today, a SWAT team in Maryland threw third grader Bobby Wareham to the ground and arrested the young boy for possessing a toy soldier holding a toy gun in clear violation of his school's zero tolerance policy. And in related news, a Michigan man was sentenced to 2 years in federal prison on gun charges. Rod Simmons says his legal semi-automatic AR-15 rifle malfunctioned at a public range and fired 2 shots on 1 trigger pull. And police in San Francisco raided the Happy Heifer health food store with guns drawn. They arrested owner Crunchy O'Doul for selling unpasteurized milk without a permit. Nima News reporter Nima Vedati now joins us live from the scene. Nima? Well, Nima, San Francisco officials say they're cracking down hard on all unlicensed commerce. If you do not have the proper 47 forms filled out in octuplicate, then they could be coming for you. Today, small business owner Crunchy O'Doul found out the hard way.
Ah, sweet milk. Mother Nature's lifeblood. Pure, pure nectar. I almost don't want to sell you, so precious, so life-giving. But I suppose I must.
He won't get you! On your knees, you dirty hippie!
Jesus.
On your knees!
What's the problem, officer?
You don't have a license to sell that milk! What? Give me the milk!
I'll try.
Give me the milk!
Oh, come on, man.
We're from the government and we're here to help you! It's unpasteurized! Cuff him! Don't make me shoot this hippie!
Can I get fucked up on this milk?
Is everyone gone? Here, put a gun in his hand. Say he's resisting.
Nanny laws and taxation are always enforced at the barrel of the gun. It is generally the job of the politicians and the political class to make sure that citizens don't see that, they don't understand that.
Dad?
Yes, boy.
What's a presidential election?
Well, boy, presidential election is a game that the robots came up with to let the prisoners feel really special for one day every 4 years.
Oh, but it's just a game?
Yep, just a game, like Waterboard or Monopoly.
Yay!
Yay.
A government can write laws until they run out of paper or run out of ink. But unless they're willing to pick up a gun and put someone in a cage for breaking those laws are really just suggestions.
If somebody ever comes around you talking to you about drugs, run away from them. And see, this is an unloaded gun. This is a Glock 40. Okay, I'm the only one in this room professional enough that I know of to carry this Glock 40. I'm the only.
Cops who have bought into the false assumption that they are some sort of a special breed and have special privileges and are immune from the laws of non-aggression.
There's a cop on every corner looking for a donut. There's a cop on every corner. The snort coat off the dashboard. Cop on every corner
Thank you for your time, Sergeant Dan Banning. I'm Nima Vidadi from the Nima News. So why don't you tell us in your own words exactly what happened today?
Well, we got a tip that these hippies were selling unlicensed, unpasteurized milk, trying to say it was healthy or something. It's not. The government's here to protect them. They should know better. They can't do it without our help and our permission, and we need to keep things under control.
Some poor sap arranges to where somebody can get some meth. He needs $50, so he does it. He gets caught holding the meth, and they say, well, we're going to charge you with about 7 or 8 felonies. You could be looking at 15 to 20 years. Or if you just plead to one felony, we'll give you 2.5 years in prison. And he ends up thanking everybody. And that guy shouldn't be spending a day in jail.
No one's ever OD'd from marijuana. Alcohol kills thousands and thousands every year.
Pharmaceutical companies are pretty upset about this, so I'm sure they're behind a lot of leading the fight against medical marijuana.
Pot isn't harmful, but it stays illegal because there's too much money in keeping it illegal. Big medicine, big alcohol, big government, big prison industry. They all feed off the war on drugs.
If they make it criminal, you have to deal with the criminals.
It's a poison. It's milk that's not pasteurized. Now, my dad did grow up on a farm and used to drink unpasteurized milk, but that was on a farm. Those were simpler times. You can't do that now. We have rules and laws in place for a reason.
And if my choice is continuing as we are with this ridiculous drug war or ending prohibition, then I'm all for ending prohibition. Prohibition doesn't work.
I want to know what this government's going to do to fix up my driveway.
Take care of your own damn driveway. The government can only do things by stealing the money from someone else. The government has no money of its own. They can only borrow it, counterfeit it, or steal it at gunpoint with more and more taxes.
It was a 3-year investigation. We spent $750,000 of taxpayer money. Well spent, if you ask me, and we got this scumbag off the street. We got 12 gallons of milk today.
Nanny laws are all those laws that politicians just love to enforce upon us regarding victimless crimes. Too often these days I see so many against smoking. Oh, I was forced to go into a restaurant and there was smoke in there and I couldn't escape. And now we're all gonna die. And all these ridiculous laws where there is no victim, but somebody wants to make sure that you don't have a couch sitting on your front deck or an old washing machine in the back, when in fact it's your own private property.
Anytime you prohibit any kind of transaction, whether it be drugs or milk or automobiles or what have you, you develop a black market.
A lot of the times dealing with a drug dealer, you have to deal with kind of shady people sometimes. You have to deal with people who are not good people, people who are out to get you.
And in that black market, you get a gigantic source of revenue based purely on the willingness to take the risk in breaking the law to provide whatever it is that has been outlawed.
Someone's cutting in on their market or cutting in their territory. It could spur a drug war, it could spur an assassination, all sorts of violence and crime.
You walk in here, it's
feel
like going to a pharmacy.
Yeah, exactly. It's like going to your pharmacy.
Here, if someone does something better, or if someone opens up next door to us, what do? We up our quality. We come up with new ways to lower prices. We have to get our creativity thinking, not instead of our anger and our blood. We throw a Karma Cola contest. We have competitions all the time, give away free meds to everyone. Right now, this month, we're doing the Karma Cola contest. We have 3 of our signature strains. The middle one is our Grape Ape. On the left is the Whiz, and on the right is our Pop Special. We also have 2 joints, some keef, some hash, and some hash oil. This is all being raffled away the day before Halloween, so someone's gonna have one of the best Halloweens of their life. Every day we also give away free medicine to our patients to kind of help them out, keep the costs low. We have games. Sometimes we draw cards, sometimes you guess the song playing when you enter. We also have Free Gram Friday, Free T-shirt Friday.
When you're dealing with a drug dealer, they are not giving you the true deal.
When you have black markets, you don't have any kind of legal recourse through the court system for incidents of fraud or bad business practices.
They are not giving you the quantity for the price or the quality you've paid for.
So whereas in any normal above-the-board business, if a person does not conduct themselves in a socially acceptable manner, there's repercussions. Customers can sue. In the black market, you don't have those recourse. The only recourse is violence. The only thing you can do, if someone rips off your stash, the only thing you can do is kick in their door and try to get it back or shoot them. The drug trade becomes such a lucrative field because you're not really selling drugs. What you're selling is the willingness to take that risk to provide the drugs. The more people you have taking that risk, the less potential profit there is to be derived from it. So there's an incentive for these drug dealers, these criminal gang leaders, to take each other out. The war on drugs is unwinnable for numerous reasons. The first one being basic supply and demand. Anytime you have a demand for anything, a supply will evolve to satisfy that. It's been shown throughout history whether people have tried to ban prostitution, drug use, guns, alcohol. Just because you make something illegal doesn't mean that people stop desiring it.
Where there's a will, there's a way. Find the hole.
All that you end up doing is pushing that desire underground, where it mixes with other seedy elements of society and creates the crime that becomes associated with it.
The black market is kind of starting to diminish a bit. There's no longer the shady behind the back alley, hand a bag over, hand some cash over. Now it's open. We're here.
I mean, we don't have criminal gangs shooting each other up in the streets over alcohol distribution. I mean, that was a rather common occurrence in the big cities during the 1920s. I have yet to see a Budweiser truck shooting it out with a Miller Lite truck.
You can see exactly what we're doing. There's nothing hidden there. It's not laced with anything. It's just removing all the sketchiness.
The harder you crack down, the more draconian you make the penalties, really all you end up doing is creating more monetary value to go into that risk-based incentive. It's kind of a vicious cycle in that you crack down, you raise the profits involved in selling, so then more people want to get involved, so then you have the violence associated with trying to maintain a monopoly and trying to maintain those artificially high profit levels. And so because of the violence, then you have to crack down even more, which only further inflates the profit level involved in delivering the substances, and it's an unwinnable battle.
If they try to shut it down and make it really hard to enter this market, then the quality is going to decrease. Prices are going to increase, and that's going to hurt the patient.
And now we're actually giving cancer patients medication for free. If you go to any of the dispensaries and you're lined up and you're actually a true cancer patient, most of these people actually help you out, unlike a pharmaceutical doctor that'll just run you through for co-pays every week.
Well, my name is Eric Underwood, and I'm the bio engineer here of this soda.
As an engineer, I find many firearms to be fascinating pieces of machinery.
Specifically designed it for, I'm a patient also, and it's basically what for my ailments and pains, and had developed it.
The intricacies of their design, the skill with which they have been crafted, particularly antique weapons, is something that I kind of marvel at.
Yeah, I would say I have a passion for this.
Hard drugs are no different than guns or marijuana or anything else.
I don't think that people should take drugs, but I also don't think that the government should interfere with it.
They are substances that people may choose to use or even abuse. If there is no coercion, theft, fraud involved, no one has any right to question it.
Should race cars be outlawed? How about boxing, skydiving, camping in bear country? Those things are like drugs, voluntarily doing something dangerous and exhilarating for kicks.
At one store I get a high point, 9 milli papers for my joint, and a pack of Phillies. Yes, I'm feeling very honored, but if the world were truly free, I could also buy my marijuana. It despise the very thought of. In fact, take a look at this. Took my sack, tax my cigarettes, and my trans fatty acid. Only take my C is red. Fed goes on kitten stomping, and the shit is popping. Now shoot your dog, man, with a pussy 223. Battle rifle stop your ass indeed. Sergeant Banning needs to give an ass tanning to the tax, taxing fat, slashing ass, catching cash, grabbing folks from San Francisco. They can eat a bag of dicks, ho. California, uber honest, dictating from the palace. Got way bigger problems, yeah. Banning's more constant. When the Schumer hits the fan, I'll be surviving with my band. With more AK ammo than all Afghanistan. Banning should be banned. Central planning should be banned. We're fed up with the man. This whole system is a sham. Banning should be banned. Central planning should be banned. We're fed up with the man. This whole system is a sham.
I really don't care what my neighbor does on the other side of this fence, just as long as I don't have to pay for it.
I think people are born with the right to exist. I think people are born with the right to practice whatever religion, faith, or values that are their own, so long as it doesn't mess with anyone else. I think those are rights that you're born with, and I think everything else is earned after that.
She has a full-time job at a hotel, and I have a full-time job as tiling.
Do you think that legalizing marijuana would help the economy in any way?
I'm working right now.
Being a little elf though, yeah, I come in whenever I have free time. I trim up their buds so that we get all the big leaves off, and then they dry them for a couple days, and then they sell them to the patients that want it.
The medical marijuana industry is creating tons of jobs if they allow it to.
You can fail or make it.
The generation between the baby boomers and Generation X that actually see the whole picture.
A lot of the generation that's kind of in charge right now, they were a part of the whole, weed is this awful, terrible drug that's gonna make you crazy and make you kill your whole family if you smoke it.
If I tried to talk to my grandmother about this, she'd say, no, that's what the cows eat. You don't go and smoke what the cows eat.
Some of the patients that come in here, they're in their 50s and 60s and 70s, and they say, we've been waiting so long for this day when we could go into a store and buy marijuana. They can't believe it. So I have a gut feeling that when I'm 65 or so, I'll be saying the same thing to the next generation, and I'll be saying, I can't believe it. It's legal all over America. This is unbelievable. I've been waiting my whole life.
Gun lovers, those of us who enjoy carrying and using guns, should support those who want to use marijuana or any other plant, simply because all of our rights spring from the same source, and the abrogation of anyone's rights abrogates all of them.
And now, the Nima News with Nima Vidadi.
Warning, graphic audio content. If you have small children and wish to shield them from reality, please send them out of the room now.
We do apologize, but we are now interrupting your regularly scheduled broadcast for breaking news. Just hours ago, 6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm near Yellowstone National Park in the tiny town of Closed for Winter, Montana. It is not yet clear if the dope farmer had trained the bears or if the animals simply had good taste. Here's an audio clip of the last radio transmission from the raiding party, led by Sergeant Dan Banning.
Nice bear. Stand back. We're from the government. We're here to help you. It's okay. It's okay, man. Stand back. Nice bear. Stand back. Hey!
Chilling. And in other news today, public schools received their lowest academic ratings ever, so Congress rushed back for an emergency session to give schools even more money.
I don't believe the war on drugs is winnable whatsoever. They've been fighting this for years, spending, hundreds of billions of dollars, infringing our liberties, our privacy, and what has it brought us? Not one step closer.
I was out on the streets. I lived in the drug culture. I was very successful in buying drugs from criminals or drug dealers. And if there's anything I learned is that these people are just like you and me. They're good people.
The government will never win the war on drugs, primarily because they don't want to.
Even if we did want to stop all drug use, I don't believe it can be possibly done.
The war on drugs serves as an excuse for unbelievable amounts of coercion, theft, murder, and control. And since control is their primary purpose in life, they have no interest in winning the war, because that would mean the end of it, and they would lose all of their advantage.
Sergeant Dan Banning, tribute to a fallen hero. Daniel Dan Banning was born just after the turbulent 60s to a middle-class family in the sleepy suburb of Oak Park, Illinois. He once said, "My only regret was not being born sooner. Man, I would love to bash some hippie heads for the mayor of Chicago." Even as a child, he loved rules and regulations. He became school bathroom monitor at 10 and reported keggers to authorities in high school. He booted his crying mother's car after his police academy graduation, telling her, "I love you, but I'll enforce any law they write. She died shortly after. Dan Banning is survived by a half-brother, Baniel Ban Banning. The two used to fight evil together, joyously cracking criminal skulls side by side until Baniel went rogue, opposing the righteous war on drugs. Dan Banning never married, saying, "My job is my life and my wife." He also leaves behind his beloved drug dog Peaches. Sergeant Dan Banning will be mourned by fellow drug warriors nationwide. Dan Banning, he took a bite out of crime until crime took a bite out of him.
How do you answer people who say, oh, it might make you want to kill your neighbors or do all sorts of bad things?
Prove it. I haven't seen that yet.
You haven't killed your neighbors yet?
No, I haven't killed the neighbors over marijuana, not at all.
Nah, you just get 75 cents.
Would you like a receipt?
Sure, why not?
Ready to play the game?
Sure, of course.
The game today is pick a pull-up. So you pick what card you're going to pull out of the deck. Number or letter?
8.
8?
8.
So yeah, we're going for a free gram of hash. Pop special hash.
I'll take the top one.
Whew. Oh, don't worry, we're not even close.
I need to work. All right, man. Appreciate it.
Enjoy. See you later.
Soon.
I don't see this causing a problem. It's actually helping the whole economy. And if we actually industrialized hemp, we could actually maybe save the planet.
When you allow one right to be taken away, then the others just follow naturally like a bunch of dominoes falling down. Once they see that right being taken away, let's say the right to smoke, then pretty soon it's smoking pot or owning firearms or having any other pleasure in your life. Any one thing leads to the next one, going down the tubes.
All laws that prohibit peaceful behavior are illegitimate and stupid.
Landing laws that y'all be stating are just real bad-hearted training. And the bed wetting stitches tell the federal bitches you better mind your own business. Here I max make me defenseless. Empty 30 from the K and self-defense is guaranteed to leave you senseless.
Private versions of the FDA, the SEC, and all of the alphabet soup government agencies would evolve. You can see this already with things like Consumer Reports. Consumer Reports goes out and tests products and says these are the safe products, these are the products that have defects, these are the products that you should stay away from. You would see a lot more of these private agencies evolve in the marketplace, and what would happen is they would have to compete with each other based on the credibility of their information. In the private market, these Consumer Reports type of agencies would have a market incentive to guarantee the integrity of the information that they produce. Otherwise, word would get out that they produce bunk information or that they can be bought off. That damages their credibility. People stop going to that agency. One of the other problems with government regulatory bodies or government consumer protection bodies is that every time they screw up, the excuse is always that they didn't have enough money, they didn't have enough manpower. FDA misses the boat on drug safety, so they get a bigger budget. In the private world, it doesn't work that way. If you fail to do your job, you get fired. And if a private consumer reports agency, if they fail to do their job, they go out of business.
Taxation is sometimes referred to as theft because it involves the taking of property where both sides do not voluntarily agree. Taxation cannot happen without coercion.
911. Hello, you've reached the Municipal Department of Benevolent Protection. All circuits are busy. Please press 1 to turn in your neighbor, or stay on the line to be transferred.
Happy afternoon, sir. This is Johnny Patel. So good to be servicing you. What is your situation, Kerfluffle?
How can't you help me? I need somebody to help me right fucking now. They're trying to take my health food store. They're trying to take everything I'm worth. All I do is help people. All I do is make people healthy. I give people crystals. And some organization like ERS or some shit is trying to fucking take this all away from me. My money, my livelihood, everything. You gotta help. You gotta send somebody over here. RoboCop, the CSI dudes, anybody!
Just pay your taxes. Goodbye.
When I buy something from a provider, that provider is voluntarily agreeing to give me whatever I'm buying from them, and I'm voluntarily agreeing to relinquish my money in exchange for what they're giving me. When it comes to taxation, that voluntary exchange does not exist. The government decides that you will pay X amount of dollars for X service.
Would you tar and feather a tax collector like they did in days of old? Would you tar and feather a tax collector for breaking in and stealing all your gold?
However, this doesn't involve a bargaining process between the government and the person being taxed. It's just the government saying so.
I have seen the partners of the company have to spend a lot of money paying the state tons of money just to stay open, basically.
Taxation is essentially taking property from you. It doesn't matter that they're promising to provide a service. It would still be theft if I knocked on your door and promised to protect you from vandals and then demanded money for it. The mafia does this and it's called a protection racket. But when the government does it, it's called public service.
We do have to pay sales tax as we have a retail sales license. The state finally required all dispensaries, grow operations, as well as edible centers to apply. And for us, that costed around $7,500. And then we also have 2 grow centers as well, which are $1,250 each. And every year, we're supposed to be paying and applying to become a dispensary as well. So that's going to be like $10,000 every year. And the more patients you have, the more you have to pay. 3 different brackets, and the top one is $18,500. Kind of money-heavy industry. Okay. The state wants their chunk. Every patient has to also pay $90 to the state in order to be on the registry. So that's just to get medicine. In order to help you, you have to pay $90 just to the state, just for them to agree that you might need that medicine.
You highway patrol officers that sit there and write 15, 20, 25 tickets a day, you're doing nothing but being a tax collector.
No, I don't mind the government checking my emails on the interwebs, tapping my phone and whatnot. I mean, they're just keeping me safe from drug dealers, terrorists.
You hate authority, but you love government. You hate cops, but you love government. What the fuck?
And anybody on the conservative right side, I assume they all build bombs and live in shacks and write manifestos.
Democrats want to melt your guns. Republicans want to burn your books. Democrats want to take away your internet and your pot. Republicans want to take away your dildos and your pot.
Of course we need the government. Without them, how else would we have electricity? Or running water? Or air to breathe? Or, I mean, how else would we solve forcibly the injustices of the world?
We'd solve the problems with the opposite of force, with free thought, with free markets, and free men.
But.
In the absence of government regulatory bodies, it's still possible to get clean water, clean air, non-toxic food. I mean, human beings received these things, they found these things for thousands of years before the FDA came along.
Had I had to keep taking the narcotics that they kept prescribing me over and over again, I wouldn't be able to function. I wouldn't be able to talk to you right now, because right now I would think there were 6 of you standing in front of me.
If the government was not involved in their regulatory business, there would be a lot more competition in the marketplace. Take the FDA, for example. Any player in the game who can't afford to jump through the FDA's hoops, who can't afford to hire all of the lawyers involved and play the game, their drugs don't make it to the market.
See, they won't allow her to have medical marijuana, but they'll allow her to put interferon in her body. Interferon is a very, very harsh drug that goes throughout the whole entire body and physically changes the whole entire body.
Whereas without those, consumers would be much more informed. They wouldn't be relying on an FDA seal of approval, which means they wouldn't be buying dangerous drugs like Vioxx that ended up causing serious health problems, but was considered acceptable because it had the FDA's seal of approval, so people thought it was okay.
The government cannot protect anyone from anything, much less from themselves. It's not physically possible, and it certainly is incredibly destructive the more they try.
They sent my 7-month-old son a letter saying I was dead. Needless to say, I was a little bit pissed.
Basically, I was just sitting in my house, chilling, hanging out, and some kids set a couch on the side of our building on fire. 2 police officers followed the firefighters inside, who takes all of our statements about the fire, kind of making it sound like we were the ones that set the couch on fire. He turns to me and says, "Miss Fleeger, is there anything in your house that we need to know about?" Didn't know any of my rights, so I was just honest with him, and I was like, "Well, yeah, there is." And then he asked if we had any weed, and I said, "Yeah, probably just personal amounts." So I went in the room and I was giving him all our bongs and everything, and from there he basically was just like, "I need you to turn around and put your hands behind your back." And he was like, "I have enough here to charge you with felonies, but since you were cooperative and stuff, I'm gonna drop it down to 2 misdemeanors." Like he's, cutting me a break, pushed me up against the car, and I was just in my freaking shorts and my pajamas and my slippers. He had the handcuffs on me so tight that my fingers starting to turn purple, and I didn't have hardly any circulation left in my hands by the time we got to the jailhouse.
Any action is bad if it forces anyone to do anything. Any action is good if everyone involved is involved voluntarily.
The government has no right to protect us from ourselves. Even dueling should be legal. It's voluntary.
Regulations are some fake laws. Steadily killing all the real crimes, but flipping dimes will get you real time. It's a pity that they skew the difference. Schools ain't cures, for sure. They always work against us. I'm cool with you dueling, much more cool than public schooling. To duel is voluntary, schools are part-time prison. Unlike a dual school is not your decision. Break, you know what else isn't? Rape.
Public schools are the ultimate tool of the politicians and the do-gooders to take control of our children's lives and souls and bodies. They are slavery factories.
Well, public schools, which I call government schools, are bad in the fact that they teach the doctrine of the day. Whatever people feel that whatever values they should impose on others. That's what they're teaching. It goes a whole lot more than the 3 R's. Probably half the school day could be composed of innuendo, slanting the news, and just general information that the kids don't even realize they're picking up. Trust me, I've had 2 daughters raised in the California public school system, and they are typically what you might expect a result of 12 years of public education in California.
Wyoming is a beautiful place with clean air and low crime and a great economy. Our skies are so clear they look high def. Why should we listen to demands on how to live our lives in any way from people who live in San Francisco, Los Angeles, Boston, New York, Chicago, and Washington, D.C.? Those are cities with lots of pollution, high crime, and economies ruined by the same type of glorious advances they're trying to shove down everyone's throat right now. Same with the feds. Washington, D.C. has no right to tell me what to do with a gun in Casper, Wyoming. There's no connection. My guns can't reach there from here. I'll never go there. My guns will never go there. There's no commonality of interest. They are there. I'm here.
Ready! Fire! Ready! Fire! Ready!
Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm Nima Vedati, and this is the Nima News. A study released today shows that the United States leads the world in incarceration, largely from nonviolent drug and weapons offenses. A total of 7.3 million Americans are in the penal system, either in jail or prison or on probation or parole. Now, to put that in perspective, our per capita prison population is 5 times that of the United Kingdom, 9 times that of France, and 12 times that of Japan.
I don't do drugs, but I understand that freedoms are interrelated. If you let the man take away one right, it makes it a lot easier for the man to take away another right, which is why true advances in liberty will never happen until the gun folk and the dope folk quit the fussing and the fighting.
The war on drugs is theft of honest goods, literally at gunpoint. It's just a redistribution of wealth, stealing from honest people and giving to tax eaters. It's immoral. War is only justified if you are attacked.
Property is anything that one has acquired without coercion, without theft, without fraud. It makes no difference what it is, guns or marijuana or anything else that one acquires without harming another person is rationally legal property.
Your house is your property, so is your mind. Money is your property and your organs when you die. Your free speech, your gun, your gold, your healthcare, your guitar. Your bedroom, your yard, your cat, your water rights, your car. What you eat and what you smoke, and who you marry, who you vote. What I say and what I do, if it don't affect you, screw you. It's all my property, screw you. It's all my property. Get off! Get off! Get off my property!
Women should arm themselves for the same reason that men arm themselves, to protect their life, their property, and to help protect each other.
When seconds count, the police are only minutes away.
All aggression is violence, but not all violence is necessarily aggression. If a person comes after me with a weapon or without a weapon and intends to do me harm, they've already initiated aggression against me, which is violence. However, if I stand my ground and use violence in return, I'm not initiating aggression. I'm not aggressing against them. I'm acting purely in self-defense. And I think that that's one of the concepts that a lot of the so-called gun grabbers don't understand. They don't differentiate between the use of a gun for self-defense and the use of a gun for aggression. Aggression is always immoral. It's always immoral to aggress against someone else.
It normally does not leave its holster under any condition. There it is right there.
I'd like to check your finger off the trigger.
Never goes on it. It stays in the holster when I'm out in public. I've been carrying this weapon in the open for 7 years now. Not once has it ever come out of its holster in public.
The difference between good laws and bad laws? Well, there's only one good law, and that is the law of non-aggression. All other laws that are good must proceed from that. Some people are hungry for liberty because deep down inside they know they are self-owners. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't understand that and have even been conditioned no longer to feel that. Why should they? Because it is our birthright as human beings.
Well, the difference between illegal and immoral is I don't need a law to tell me what is immoral. Inherently, you know right from wrong. Illegal is something imposed on you by the government as to what they think is right and wrong.
The only way to get back to voluntary self-government is to become self-owners.
I don't have any right to tell Eric what he can and can't do with his Ericness. And I don't expect to be told what to do with my Anastasianness.
Whether you're a gun owner or a weed smoker, it's all the same issue. Do you have the right to protect yourself and to live your own life as you see fit, without the government trying to force you one way or the other into a behavior that they deem is proper? As long as you're causing no harm to somebody else, you should be able to do whatever you want.
Everything Hitler did was legal because he made the laws. We're not recommending you break any laws. We're not even saying,
every time you break an unjust law, an angel gets her wings.
However, Martin Luther King Jr. said, one may well ask, how can you advocate breaking some laws and obeying others? The answer lies in the fact that there are two types of laws, just and unjust. I would be the first to advocate obeying just laws. One has not only a legal, but a moral responsibility to obey just laws. Conversely, one has a moral responsibility to disobey unjust laws. What we will say is this: when you give oppressors an inch, they take a light year, every time.
Jesus was very definitely killed by the government, and for the same reason that they continue to kill us today. He was not willing to be controlled.
Any law that protects me from violence perpetrated upon me from somebody else would be a good law. If somebody wants to come to my house and shoot me, kill me, steal my property, burn my house, there should be a law against that. And there are laws against that. Bad laws, on the other hand, are laws where there's really no victim. A law requiring a hairdresser to get a license.
They definitely are starting to tighten the chokehold on us. The state is, putting more and more regulations and laws. It seems like every week we have to stay on top of it, making sure we're still compliant with everything.
Or that you can only have one liquor store every mile.
Governments have set things up so that people don't have a choice to walk away.
Laws against personal freedom, such as smoking pot or drinking alcohol or any number of basic things that you might do in any given day.
Natural rights are just simply our right to life. Every human being has the right to life and to defend that life.
I think everybody has the right to protect themselves, period. I don't care if it's walking across the street or in your home or in your front yard. I think everybody should have the right to protect themselves.
And to acquire and use peacefully acquired property with no interference from anyone else. No voluntary, consensual activity can legitimately be illegal.
Natural rights are not divisible.
When we allow so-called authorities or politicians to take away or abrogate a right, we become their slaves. We have abdicated ownership of our own bodies and lives. And it doesn't make any difference at all whether that's guns or marijuana or automobiles or our marriages.
All natural rights are all or none.
Violence isn't necessarily a bad thing if it's used in self-defense. It's never immoral to stand your ground and defend yourself, your life, your liberty, your property, or that of another person who is suffering from the aggression of another. Aggression involves committing a crime against the natural rights of another person. Self-defense, even including violence, involves defending one's natural rights to life, liberty, and property.
30 years ago, I was sleeping and heard an argument outside and looked out the window to see someone who was trying to break into my car. I went to the closet and retrieved my shotgun and went to the door and opened it and shouted at him to go away, to get away from my car. He started toward me. I leveled the shotgun at him as he came toward me, and he was threatening me and said that he would kill me. When I said, stop, I'll shoot. And he said, oh, you won't shoot me. And then I did.
getting thicker than dreadlocks. They treat us like we dread Scott. Don't wanna see the feds. Papa will be the one that they'd stop. Don't get in trouble cause I talk shit to their mascot. Freaking busybodies need to go and buy an ascot. Telling me you own me, then making sure I'm taxed out, maxed out, deep indebted from the easy credit that the Fed embedded. Then they betted it all be copacetic if they were the medic, but forget it, the people are getting pissed, blowing up like someone let it. They won't control and fetid, but y'all know that smells fetid like the crap hole that we're headed to. If they don't let me do me and you do you, and all the guns in the government won't amount to a 22 if they keep on stomping on amendment number 2. And we don't even need you. Take your welfare and your brainwashing free school, and y'all are so see-through. Easy to see you is see-through. Nobody owns me, y'all haters don't. Yeah, I own me. Yeah, so back the fuck off. Nobody owns me. No, y'all haters don't. I own me. Yeah, so back the fuck off. I make my own rules, take my own dues. You ain't in my shoes, no, you ain't get to choose. I ain't pay you dues, I pay them for myself. Don't expect shit from me, and I ain't need your help. In case you didn't know, this song is for the parasites, the feeders that bleed us and treat us like they're the handed with the dice. No utopian paradise do we have from any planet. World too complex for any man to comprehend. All the supply and again, all the demand. When the few control the view, their mistakes are multiplied. The decision should be ours, like our bodies. Let's take back our lives. Only a slave if you submit, and y'all know I got some fight. And this ain't racist, it's for blacks, whites, and Asians, Middle Eastern people, Latino, and everyone that wants to be free. So we'll leave and let it slide. If you're emo, I never sign no social contract. I'm about to have to repo myself for my health and my wealth. Put your bills back on the shelf. Capitol Hill can go to hell. We should put them punks in jail. We could live our lives ourselves. Nobody owns me, y'all haters don't. Yeah, I own me. Yeah, so back the fuck off. Nobody owns me. No, y'all haters don't. I own me. Yeah, so back the fuck off. I make my own rules, take my own dues. You ain't in my shoes, no, you ain't get to choose. I ain't pay you dues, I pay them for myself. Don't expect shit from me, and I ain't need your help.
Hello, I'm Michael Dean.
And I'm Nima Vidadi. We know you have many choices in educational guns and weed films.
I haven't seen any.
Oh. Anyway, we thank you for watching the film we made, and we hope you enjoyed it.
This educational documentary will undoubtedly upset some people who get a boner from preying on the rights of others.
Therefore, we'd like to say this on record. If either of us are ever facing any felony charges, the thing was planted or the evidence otherwise manufactured.
And if either of us is ever found dead of a drug overdose, a car crash, or an apparent suicide, there was probably a government agency behind it.
And remember, the only power they have is the power you allow them.